Today, I'm going to be talking about Sinners, and I'm going to go ahead and preface this by saying that I think it's kind of impossible to talk about this one without getting into spoilers. If you haven't seen it or you don't want anything in it spoiled, maybe bookmark this for later and come back and watch it, because there's just a lot that I want to talk about with this one, and I don't think I can do it justice without getting into spoilers about what happens in the movie. Start off as normal. Sinners is a 2025 film. It released in theaters on the 19th. It got pushed back from a March release for Mickey 17, which, I mean, that's just, I can do a video on that one if you guys want, but it's not gonna be good. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. So it is a period drama horror film. It is 2 hours and 17 minutes long and is rated R for strong, bloody violence, sexual content, and language. It was written and directed by Ryan Coogler, who did the Creed movies and also the Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. He also did Fruitvale Station. This has Michael B. Jordan, who was a constant collaborator for him, and Michael B. Jordan was in Creed, he was in Black Panther, got his start at Friday Night Lights and Chronicle. I mean, we know who Michael B. Jordan is, right? So yeah, also in this we have Miles Catton. If you don't know that name, if you've never heard of him before, I do not blame you. I had not heard of him before this either. He is actually an R&B singer, and this is his first acting role. We also have Jack O'Connell, who was in Ferrari and Lady Chatterley's Lover, and Haley Steinfeld, who is Kate Bishop in the MCU. She was in Ender's Game. She got her start in True Grit. It's the first thing I remember seeing her in. I'm going to start off by saying, no matter how much I liked or disliked this movie, this was going to be a bit of a one I was going to talk about, because I've been waiting for this one. As soon as this one was announced and we found out that Michael B. Jordan was playing twins and that it was Ryan Coogler and it was going to be a period piece, at that point I was in, because I do love when these two collaborate. I did as much as possible to avoid any kind of spoilers for this. Like, I literally watched the teaser and that was it, because I did not want to know anything else. I knew it was set in the early 1900s, that Michael B. Jordan played twins, and that there was some kind of dark, probably supernatural element to it. I think going into it with a completely clear mind is part of what made it the experience that it was for me. If you want to get down to the nitty-gritty of trying to explain it, it has a lot of similarities from Till Dusk Till Dawn. It just does not play it in a way that is comedic. Do not go into this thinking that it is a very typical vampire film, that it is a very typical supernatural film. There is so much more to this than that. So this is a movie that has been getting a lot of attention, a lot of critical acclaim, a lot of audience acclaim. And the big thing is basically, is this movie as good as everyone says it is? And that answer is yes, it is. It is. I loved this film. There is no other film like this. Ryan Coogler took his idea, he created this world, he created this story, and he collaborated with people to make this happen in a way that is so unique. The acting in this, I cannot believe that Miles Catton has not acted before. This young man, he was amazing. His voice is incredible. I know now that he does R&B, but this man's voice is so powerful and soulful and so deep. And I honestly wasn't sure at first if he had been like overdubbed or something. In this, he plays Samuel, who is a younger cousin to the Smokestack twins, which is played by Michael B. Jordan. And honestly, the chemistry between Jordan and Miles is fantastic. I mean, all of these actors, the chemistry between them and the way that they relate to each other is very, very believable. It's very well done. The dialogue between them is very believable. I know I've talked about dialogue before and how it's very hard to write believable dialogue, especially in this kind of situation where we're in the 1930s. Having believable older dialogue that also translates to a modern audience can be very difficult. So getting into that, this the writing for this is very much a character study. This is a character study about the Smokestack twins, about Sam. There's a lot in this movie. It is a character study. It is not just a thriller. It is not just a horror movie. It's not just a drama. It's not just a period piece. There are a lot of ideas and there's a lot of depth to this story, even with a 2+ hour runtime, really, and all of the ground that it covers. I do not feel like this movie was bogged down at all. In fact, I don't think it felt long at all. I think that it honestly could have gone on longer. This is the kind of world that you get into, and at least for me, this is the kind of world that I can get into, and I'm so entranced by, I'm so involved in as I'm watching it, that I could stay here forever. This world is so real and so vibrant and so enticing in ways, also kind of terrifying in ways, but it makes it so that I would be okay if I never ever left it. People's mileage on that may vary. That's just kind of how I felt about it. When I get really kind of enthralled with a film or with a story in general, I kind of feel that way. It's not surprising because the different cultures that are represented in this all had their own consultants. I feel like he wanted to really portray these cultures in a way that was accurate and to really be respectful of them. So, acting, phenomenal. Writing, phenomenal. The cinematography, atmosphere, and mood on this. 1930s South is captured very well. It's very believable. Costuming is perfect. The time period, the setting are all well done and make complete sense as a setting for the story. Some of the shots in this movie, some of the cinematography in this movie is the best that I have seen in years. Possibly some of the best ever. I feel comfortable saying that. There are shots, specifically one shot in this movie that is so complex. It has so much going on in it and so much storytelling within the shots that it's phenomenal. You talk about long continuous shots that tell a story, and there's that. Okay, so there was a movie in the late 90s that was called Snake Eyes that was done by Brian De Palma. It stars Nick Cage, and it is not a fantastic film, honestly. It's not a very good film, but there is an opening shot that is it's like a masterclass. It has been broken down and studied because of just how phenomenally shot it is. Especially for it to be a continuous shot. This might rival that. It has to do with, it takes place in the juke joint that the brothers create and involves Sam, the character Sam. And it starts out saying about the transcendental power of certain musicians, of certain music, and how it can blend time. And it starts in what is the 1930s, obviously. And we get all of these different, as it moves around the dance floor, as it continues and goes around, we have the music. We have not only Miles music, but we have other genres of music that come after the blues that are interwoven into this also earlier music. And these are not only representing the music, but also in characters and in dance that are included in this scene. And it is, it's honestly just one of the most amazing shots I've ever seen. There's no other way to put it. And I know that lots of times with this kind of stuff, there's like a recency bias. On a purely looking at this as a piece of art, as a piece of cinema, this shot is phenomenal in a way that is indescribable. And I'm not one that says a lot that you need to see things in a theater, but I think that having the surround sound and the dark and the big screen really adds to the experience of this, which brings me to the music. This is not a musical. This is not a traditional musical. The music in this is very prevalent. It's very integral, but it's not a musical. Part of that is I don't really care for musicals in general. There are a few that I do like, some of the darker ones, Sweeney Todd, Chicago 9. I do care for. I do like a lot of musicals. The way they're written, the music informs the story in a way that it shows inner thoughts of a character or like an internal monologue kind of thing. it'll like either reveal part of the story, it'll either progress the story or reveal motivations of characters. The music is important and it helps and it informs. That's not what happens here. The music in this movie is a character of the movie as much as any of the other actors in this film. The music is literally a character. It makes this film completely unique. We know that a strong score, even if it's not a musical, a strong score in a movie can elevate a movie or a story. This is beyond that. This is a story that could not be told without the music that is in it. I feel like it's a step above other films with as far as the music is in the DNA of this film in a way that it cannot be separated. Like, you could listen to the soundtrack of this movie and be fine. You could not watch this movie without a soundtrack. The music in this is as integral to the movie as it is to the cultures that are represented in the movie. It informs and expands what we know of the characters. A good example of this, and this is massive spoiler territory, the character played by Jack O'Connell is a vampire. He is an Irish vampire, and we know this, and we know that he's maybe an Irish immigrant. There's a scene that involves his character, Remick, in what would basically be an old Celtic dance. And those are details that we don't know any other way except for through that sequence. He doesn't say that he's an ancient vampire. He doesn't say that he's an ancient Celt. He doesn't say anything about his past, really. He does hint at some things. And some of the things he says, especially at the very end, say about how old he is. But we find out a lot about him through just the music that he is involved in. And it's not just him. We learn about the cultural backgrounds and the journeys of the characters through the music. And this would not be the same story without that. It just wouldn't. It combines history and fantasy and music in a way that makes it a very, very unique and original movie and a very unique and original experience. And that's what this movie is. It's not so much a movie as it is an experience. And I'm going to say, I hate when people say that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's just bull. It's a movie, you watch it. But this one is really one that you experience, and it's because of the music. At least for me, I'm not a person who emotionally connects with music a lot. Like, there are certain songs and everything like that that I like and enjoy, and I can have a very emotional reaction to music. But largely speaking, I am not one who spends a lot of time worrying about music as far as movies go. You know, you add something like Guardians of the Galaxy, you add certain songs to the soundtrack, it makes it more enjoyable. The right score can elevate the movie. We did a study back in school that was of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the shower scene in it, watching it with and without sound, and how much the sound heightens the tension and the feeling of the entire scene. This does that as well. With that example, though, in Psycho, even without the sound, even though it ratchets up the tension and makes things more visceral on some level, we still know what's going on without the music. That's not the case here. This story, as it is, could not be told without the music. It just couldn't. And that's why I say that the music is a character in a way that I have not really seen before. It is an utterly unique experience. Coogler and his collaborators have created something very unique and very special in this movie. Now, I'm sure there are people who will see this and maybe not have the visceral connection with the music, but I think no matter what, it's still such a solid film. It's such a well-told story, and these characters are so dynamic, and the setting is so interesting that I don't know that anyone would not like this movie. It's such an amazing blend of genres. I had really high expectations for this movie. I went into this expecting to be disappointed. It did not only meet my expectations, it exceeded them. When I was sitting watching it, I was like, I'm enjoying this. right? I had that moment of, I'm really enjoying this movie. During that scene that I was talking about earlier, I had the distinct thought of, I love this. I can't wait to see this movie again. I might go and see this movie again in theaters. And there's like 5 movies in the last 2 decades that I've gone to see more than once in a theater. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate you hanging out and listening to me ramble for a little bit. And I hope that you will come back and that I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.